Strategically situated on a hilltop just outside of Underwood is an abandoned earthen fortification that once played a critical role in the history of Otter Tail County. Cliff Knutson, local historian and author, tells the story of Fort Juleson.
A very significant event happened in 1876, just shortly after Custer's defeat at the Little Bighorn. The local settlers had just come to this area maybe just 3 or 4 years before that time, and they were out plowing the sod when a rider came from Fergus Falls announcing that the Indians were on the warpath and they should run for their lives. And many people left this area in their wagons and went south to Pomme de Terre, Wilmer, Alexandria, that direction. Grant County people went toward Herman, and as many as 100 wagons went toward Herman. There were some local people here that decided they wanted to stay and defend themselves. So under the leadership of Hans Juleson, they decided to build an earthen fort here on this high hill. An earthen fort, by name, it had no logs in it. They plowed it with they plowed sod with a plow very similar to this. And they stacked it 4 feet wide and 4 feet high, and enclosed an area about 110 by 120 feet. And a group of 14 men did that in a matter of a few days. And when they completed it, somebody suggested they go and get the Bjorgi bear gun to test the strength of the walls. Would it indeed hold the Indians off, the anticipated Indian attack? So they walked approximately 3/4 of a mile and got this gun and brought it over and fired it into the walls, and the walls held up very well. The ball did not penetrate. And this is a very large gun. It's a .60 caliber and has been passed down through the descendants of Sarek Bjorgi, who built the gun. We're just really happy to have this very historic gun that was connected with this site. They sent scouts out and discovered that it was a rumor. The information they received was false, even though a dispatch had been sent to St. Paul saying that Fergus Falls was alive with savages, depredation in Tordenskjold Township, which is right here, and Indians present at Pomme de Terre, which is south about 15 miles. They found out the rumor was false, but they finished the enclosure anyway because they said there might be future scares. And it was not actually inhabited at the time of the scare, but one of the early reports from people who lived in this area said that a few years later they occupied this site for a short while due to another scare. So it had tremendous impact, as much as a cost of $50,000 to Otter Tail County, and that was a lot of money in those days, just in economic issues that developed. They formed militias in these towns to be prepared to defend themselves. And what should be discovered was that a man by the name of Asa Baker from Pelican Rapids had started this rumor on purpose. And he was called to Fergus Falls by the owner of the paper to either own up to it or deny it in front of him. And he came in there and he eventually accepted or gave him the information that he had indeed started this rumor. And he had actually seen 3 to 5 Indians in the area of Elizabeth who were hunting and picking berries, and he enlarged the number to 300 to 500 on the warpath, just to make a more interesting story, he said. But he frightened these people terribly because this was all occurring on a few years after the Southern uprising in 1862. And so the new settlers had heard about that, and then with Custer's defeat, and a few people were killed in this area along the trail near Pomme de Terre and south of Fergus Falls. So they had reason to be frightened. But this is the structure they built to defend themselves, and I think it should tell us or help us appreciate their courage and some of the difficult things the early settlers faced.
You can learn more about this chapter of Minnesota history in Cliff's book, Fort Juleson and the Indian Scare of 1876, available at Otter Tail County Museum in Fergus Falls.